All right, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. We've got a great panel here. I want to say thank you, first of all, to Ralph Steadman and his amazing family.
Yeah!
We've done a series of talks at the gallery called the Liberty Salon Series, and we have interesting people come in and talk about things they're passionate about. And these three gentlemen up here represent to me sort of like the icons of Gonzo. They're sort of all living legends in their own right. And I thought it'd be fun to let them all riff on each other and have some fun. We don't have a huge plan.
There's 2.5 legends up here.
Yeah. And we also want to have some input from the community and from the crowd here, so we'll open it up to some questions here after a while. But I want to thank everyone again, and I hope you enjoy it.
Thanks, DJ.
Thank you. I'd just like to say myself, before going on, thank you for coming, and also, lovely to see Bob Raffles in the audience. Wow. And I feel really honored, thank you. And also that I am not 80 years of age, I am 008. I'm badly shaken and half stirred. Okay?
And the rest of us are badly shaken and half stoned. But that's why we love you.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
What does 008 mean?
What? What does it mean?
Yes.
Well, it's based on a joke of James Bond.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, I get it.
Got it? Get it?
You're not 80.
Speak up a little bit. You know.
I'm having trouble. Last night, Ralph was here and probably signed 2 bazillion pieces of papers, books, artwork. and-
Socks. Socks. She was very attractive, though.
Shirts, ties, everything. And a lot of the people that I spoke with said, I can't believe it. Ralph Steadman gave me like 5-7 minutes of his time and we talked. So you were a rock star last night. Is that something you do regularly?
Well, only when I can find someone who wants to speak about Grossenheimer's laws of adiabatic masses. Then I got into a deep conversation with that lady.
I missed that last night.
Oh, did you? Oh, sorry. Anyway, we'll forget it tonight. We won't talk about that. And I was actually thinking, I was trying to remember the name of the director who wrote The Andalusian Dog, a very old film. And it was The Andalusian Dog. Buñuel, Louis Buñuel, exactly. And I remembered it later today, and then I've forgotten it again.
That shit happens. It's okay.
Yeah, because I did a thing about him and Marcel Duchamp together, talking about a cat that came out from one side, from the doorway, across the street, and across the other side, and then a fellow was coming along in the car, and he saw the dog. He was interested in cats. He was looking at that, and he knocked the lady over. A dog, rather knocked the dog over and he was okay. He said, oh no, he's killed my dog, you see. And then, meanwhile, the cat's gone back indoors. That was the story. I was trying to remember it. I'm telling it badly on purpose.
So we won't ask you any more questions.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Ralph, there is a parallel.
I hadn't finished, by the way.
Really?
No, I just want to say.
People say I interrupt.
Jerry's never interrupted anybody.
I'm shocked. Yeah,
Well,
thank
it's
you.
just that I was going to say that, talking about, what was the cat's name? Malibu. No, sorry. What was the story's name? The story's name was Malibu. Why was it called Malibu? It was the name of the cat. That was the thing. It's a completely stupid story. Why don't I tell you?
But you brought that to us.
Yes, just I
Thank
want you to know how unintelligent.
I was trying to save you when I interrupted.
Blatant I am, blatantly empty.
You're the least empty human being. I've always loved the idea that one of our mentors and patron saints in this Magic Valley was Hunter Thompson. And what Gonzo was to journalism, I've always felt that Ralph Steadman was to illustration. That somehow that wicked humor and savage political satire that we see all around us that leaps out of the page and confronts us and shocks us is a remarkable connection. What brought the two of you together?
Well, it was back in 1970, and I decided I had to come to America sometime. And I just kind of upsticked and came over. And I don't even, I know somebody came, a man called Dan Ratina, came to this private eye and said, why don't you ever come to New York or something, you know? So I said, well, I hadn't thought of it. I said, it's a good idea. So then I eventually said, okay, I'll do it. So I went and I stayed with Dan Ratina and his wife, Pam, they were just married. And I stayed with them 2 weeks, but I felt it was getting in the way. And so I was just about to come into New York, and I got a call from a guy called J.C. Suarez, who was, he said, that this J.C. Suarez, I'm from Brooklyn, you know, you could tell him, sorry I can't do the Brooklyn accent, but it was something like that, you know. And he said, how'd you like to go to Kentucky and meet ex-Hells Angels? Just shaved his head. So I said, that's, what's his name? He says, Hunter S. Thompson. I never heard. So I see. Well, he's sort of been a Hell's Angel and all that. So you know, he's kind of interesting, and he's got a story to tell. And he wanted an artist. He hoped to get somebody from the Boston Globe, but he's going to England. So I thought, oh, that was for a cartoon convention. So but that was lucky. But you know, he went, and I thought of all the people to meet in America, it had to be a Hunter S. Thompson. It was crazy in a way, because I was, by default, was to meet him, to go to Kentucky, and to go to what I call the Derby, and you call it Derby, and you call it the Louisville, and then we call it Louisville, you know. So there are those funny things that I always still think about. You know. But when we did meet, it took 3 days to meet. We had to meet. We were told this is where we go. We will meet at the Penn Tennis Club if we don't see each other on the track, or go to the press club, or the press room, in the Churchill Downs. And he and I were walking around 3 days apart. We were walking. So Hunter said later. I don't know how he kind of slightly. I think it was maybe, felt like 3 days, but
Hunter and the money were always late.
Were they? Yeah. Okay. So we met. Well, I was sort of waiting and looking, still going on this, and then I suddenly turned around.
You're going to give a blowjob to that mic whether you like it or not.
Okay, now, sorry.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, now we're going.
That better.
Yeah.
I try each day to live my life according to the trials and strife. I find around my ankles are my home. I travel far, I travel wide. I hid myself in the countryside, attempting to achieve some peace of mind. But I don't want to bid the world goodbye. I don't want to bug you with a sigh. I don't need to stress the God Almighty mess we're in. Well, the simple themes that shape our lives, that drive our thoughts and thwart our tries, are coming from the same place all the time. So throw yourself in the deadly flow, ignoring everything you know, and you will find your doodah if you try. Well, you put that goddamn thing there.
You got your doodah?
Yeah, right there in front of you. Yeah, thank you very much. So that was that. Anyway, back to, no, I was just telling you about Hunter. Then I turned around, suddenly there's 6'8", I think he was nearly 6'8". Yeah, he was 6'8". I think it was about that. What do you think?
6'3".
6'3"?
He looks a lot taller.
You're 6'8".
6'6".
6'6", wow. Well, look, I exaggerated, and I'm sorry. He looked it, well, I look it up at him like that. And he just said, to me, "Are you Ralph Steadman, the artist from England?" You know, and I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, they said you were weird, but not that weird." You know, so I said, "Well, am I weird? Well, what's that weird, funny thing on your chin?" You know, he said, "I had a little beard, yeah." And he said, "Well, they don't kind of take to those things around Kentucky." Not my, so, "Oh, sorry, should I shave it?" No, it's okay. So, do you drink?" I said, "Well, I like a beer or something." "Okay, well, let's sit by the track and watch the race." So, he did look at me a little weirdly, you know, and he was very observant, I guess. He was and we sat down and, with a drink and watched a couple of races going by. And he said, "Do you bet?" So I said, "Well, I did bet on the Grand National in 1954. I put it on early mist, 20-1. 2 shillings I had, you know, to put it. And it won." "Oh," he said, "you try here." "Well, I tell you what I'll do, I'll pick one, but I won't put money on it." So I picked some, I don't know what it was. I know Dusk Commander won that year, but I can't, I said, "I'll just say that one." I can't remember what it was. And it won. So I said, "Hey, you're pretty good at this. Why don't you try, just put a dollar on the nose or something." So okay. So I put the dollar on something, yeah, and it lost. I said, "That's why I don't bet." You know, it never, I just pick them out. I like to pick them out. It's nice every year, you know.
I'm surprised he didn't demand his money from the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've been there.
Yeah. Right, sorry, yeah. So anyway, that got to that bit, and then we ended up after a week. I think he invited me to his club, the Kentucky club called the Pendennis, and yeah, with that attached to it. It's quite nice, that Pendennis, and yeah, that was quite nice. I like sound effects.
That's amazing, huh? I don't know how you do that.
What?
He's got magic. He's got magic. There's no question.
Oh, hopeless. Anyway, well, we went there, and you meet my friends, you know, old friends from the past, and so on. So there hadn't been much past then, but there was a lady. He said, "By the way, stop that filthy scribbling, Ralph. You know, you're always scribbling things down. What are you doing?" He said, "Stop it. Not in here. Not with my friends." But some woman said, "Hey, how'd you like to draw me?" So "No, Ralph, that's a friend of mine. I know her husband, you know, so be careful, you know." I said, and then she was watching, and it was getting worse and worse. And I tore it off and gave it to her. She looked at it, she said, "That ain't petty. I'm petty enough. I want to draw you." And she took the thing out of my hand, and she's doing that. So it ruined my paper, you know, everything. So I told you to do that sort of thing. Just cut it out. So that's why I don't, you know, stop that filthy scribbling became a sort of a thing between us.
Yeah,
But usually I finish when we did the work. He said, "The problem is, you finish your work. I haven't. All I got a bunch of notes." So it was a sadness. You know, he felt a little sad and a little. You know, he said, "And whatever you do, Rob, you know, don't write. You know, because you bring shame on your family." So the problem is, I said, "Look, I think I can write better than you could draw." we'll see, but one of these days we'll find out probably. We'll have a competition, you know, so, which we didn't ever get around to, because it was, you know, I was starting to write things, and he was getting really upset about it. And then when I started doing wine labels for Oddbins Wine Company in England, he said, "Oh, I see," he said, "giving up politics now for stupid little grapes." Yeah, so that was happening, and I just thought it went on like that for years, and it was a good interactive, creative partnership, really. A little like Laurel and Hardy without the mess.
No, there was some mess. There was a little.
Was
mess.
it?
A little bit.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Well, shall we? Did someone want to ask something before I?
I've got one more
What?
that I wanted to ask you
Oh,
about, because
God.
I know, but years ago, well, when you did you illustrated all of Hunter's works, but you also did the 50th anniversary of Animal Farm.
Yeah.
And I remember kind of chiding you a little bit about how it was a anti-communist diatribe, and you said to me something that has stuck with me for 20 years or however long it's been.
Must have been wise, or it was stupid.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm asking you to explain
Yeah.
it to me. You said, beware of ideologues in sealed trains.
Wow, that's good.
I know. I'm still trying to figure out what that meant. Yeah.
Well, I wish I'd said it twice.
Yeah, well, good.
That's
I've been waiting all this time for you to
yeah.
tell
Why?
me.
Yeah. It's beware of.
Ideologues in sealed trains.
Oh, that was a gentleman in sealed trains.
Well, it could.
Because they kind of go weird.
I think it was more like Trotsky or
Ideologues.
something. Yeah.
Communist ideologues. Yeah. Well, beware of Trumpians in steel trains, I say. Well,
By the way, he's done an amazing series of. Can you do this for me? It's so cute. It's
oh yeah. Sorry.
it's the Donald.
It's the only one I've done. I couldn't do.
Christine and I were just in London, and we visited with some friends who talked about the parallel between Brexit and Trump.
Yeah.
And they described it
And I
as sort of.
suddenly thought, yeah.
Well, they described it as a dog chasing a car that had no fucking clue what he was going to do when he caught it. And I just wonder, is this is Trump, and his little his diaper is an American flag, but it's so good. So, and both of our guys have kind of this orange hair. But tell me, not me, or you. I meant Trump and.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's not his, is it?
I hope not. But let me just ask you, what's your take on that comparison, that parallel?
Of this steel train?
No, we've given up on that. Neither you or I can remember what the fuck that was about, so we're going to give up on that. I'm just talking about the parallel between Trump and Brexit and this.
Yeah. No, Brexit sounds to me like a breakfast cereal. It really does. I mean, I think it's.
But I wouldn't want to eat it.
Wicked, I think it's in the same league.
It
the
is.
same way they think about it. I mean,
Well, and they didn't think about it. Yeah.
they didn't think about
Yeah.
it, and they asked a simple question, yes or no. So there wasn't anything. Can we do this and not that and some other thing like one does when we went into the common market? Apparently there was a hell of a lot. That was 1947, and that's a long time. And then to just suddenly say, oh, let's have this thing, bang, and it was over, and nobody thought about it. And they sort of whipped it up and got people to go and vote, and a lot of people vote maybe for the first time they'd ever thought about it, and a lot of younger people who really didn't know about the common market thing or what it represented, and when it was not explained, and we've lost. I mean, we're like an offshore island now. That's all. You know.
We all are. It might be a testament to the failure of public education in both of our countries. I hate saying it.
You think it's yeah?
I don't know.
Well, you know, there's.
Why would young people be attracted to either one of those things?
Well, I hope they're not. But It seems they are.
Some are, yeah.
Yeah, they do become. Well, why do people become lawyers and bankers?
I've been wondering that for 50 fucking years.
Have you?
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Or sheriffs, for that matter. I don't know. What do you think, Rob?
Well, let me talk a little about
Yeah.
police work.
Yes. Oh, yes, please do.
I was in Boulder for Juan Thompson's wedding 20 years ago. And after the wedding, I was staying at the Boulderado Hotel with Deputy Tom Benton, another artist, activist. And Benton had a pager on his belt that halfway through dinner went off. And it was a request for Deputy Benton to call the Boulder County Communications Center because they had a crazed Brit staying at the Hilton Harvest House, which is a no-smoking hotel, who insisted upon lighting up tobacco in his hotel room. Ralph Steadman had by then barricaded the door with 2 dressers, 1 couch, and a stuffed chair.
Really?
And the Boulder police wanted Tom Benton, fellow artist, to use his negotiation skills. And it resulted in sort of the Iranian nuclear pact. Steadman said he would not leave the room to smoke, but he would step out onto the balcony to smoke.
Are you sure it's me because I'm not a smoker?
It was you, and you were smoking something.
Really? Oh, no, I don't smoke that stuff. No.
And the SWAT team went home.
I roll them, but I light them, but I go.
That's his defense.
He rolled them and lights them. Well,
That's it. I can't stand the idea of smoke down my lung. You know, really. And this, I mean, well, we can't help it now because we've got exhaust fumes and God knows well.
You gotta breathe.
You've got to, yeah, something like that.
did you participate in any of the debauchery with Hunter? Acid, cocaine?
No.
You have a right to remain silent.
Only the one.
You have a right to counsel.
No. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
No, the only thing was the painting on the side of the boat, one of the boats at the America's Cup. When we went there together to Rhode Island, we had to try and we had a little 3-masted schooner, and we had a crew and a rock band on board, and our idea was to get inside the America's Cup yachts, and which were the Intrepid and
I'll straight at you, but that's all right.
yeah. Anyway, to get inside and screw the race up. That was what we called. Well, you see, that's what Gonzo became. Gonzo is not covering a story; it is going to become the story. That was the idea, and so that's how it sort of is done. I'll tell you what the name Gonzo means in a minute too, which is quite an interesting thought. And let me try and carry on with this thing. So we had a few drinks, and Hunter gave me I never had it before, never had it since. It was psilocybin, which is a hallucinogen. You know it? You know it? Anyone? Yeah. Anyway, that's what it was.
Y'all have a right to remain silent.
Yeah. Took this thing, and of course, about 2 or 3 hours later, I don't know. We got in a little boat and got away from the schooner, and Hunter rowed. He seemed quite nifty with it, rowing. He was good at things like that. And I was ready with 2 spray cans, a black and a red spray can. And we row around in between the 2 yachts. And it was my job as artist from England to write something on one of the boats, you see. So I said, what are you going to write, Ralph? So he said, how about F the Pope? And he said, are you religious, Ralph? It's a lovely way to put it.
So, okay, I'll do it. So we got between the boats, and then there was a rope across the front of them. We had to go a little boat, go underneath them, you know. And somebody, a guard, said up the top, he says, "Hey, what are you doing down there?" "Oh, just looking at the boats, just looking at the boats." You know. "We must flee, Rolf, we must flee." And he pulled on the oars, and they came out of the rocks, and his feet went up in the air like that. And we got back, and then we hitched a lift from a passing trawler coming back in, you know, from some fishing trawler. Got us back, and we must stay low. And, we'll go to that coffee shop and stay there and wait, sort of thing. And it was a monumental failure, you know, but it made a kind of funny story, and he did write it up as a sort of thing that. But I don't know where it actually ended up appearing. I think it did somewhere. I don't know where, but it has. I can't remember now. It's like a lot of the stories I remember. You know, I've done a book on Sigmund Freud. I went to Vienna and I went and lay on the floor in his original consulting room to look up so I could see what it looked like in the corner, so I could draw it and see his old sink there downstairs in the 9th district of Vienna. And the man, Hans Lobner, was the curator, and he said, "I know people, I suppose you want to lie down where the couch was." You know, and I did. You know, and that became part of the research for the thing, you know, call it research. And because I went also to find out where his barber was on the Ringstrasse and in Vienna, and the Café Landmann where he used to take his coffee in the morning, and do all those things. Eventually did the book on Freud. Then I thought he came up with a phrase which I really do like. There's the man who woke up in the dark. The Leonardo da Vinci was the man who woke up in the dark, and I wrote a song about that too, which I won't sing. I won't sing. Promise.
You're entitled.
No, I won't do it. No. I'll give back my dream when it starts, but don't. And
He was into dreams.
so I did the next book after Sigmund Freud was Leonardo da Vinci, and I don't know. I wanted to bring some. I should have put some in the packet, you know, but they're heavy in a way. Well, they're not too bad, really. I mean, you think it's the life of Leonardo da Vinci, but anyway, I did it. I painted the Last Supper. That's on the bedroom wall at home. You know, I had to do 3 things that Leonardo did to make it. The rule of 3, what I say 3 times is true, because I call the book I, Leonardo, you see. So I was him, you know. Because there were so many people, so many experts knew about Leonardo, that I thought the best way to become one is to become him and do some of the things he did, like build a flying machine. That was the other thing. Out of bamboo, and put it the wings. Yeah, wings they call them. Yeah. I forgot. They call, made them out of canvas tent, old nylon tents, lighter things, you know. And then I got onto the flat roof and was going to jump off, you know, and there was a electrician and a plumber working on the house at the time, and they held on to my pants. I was going to, you know, go, and in the end, I let it go, and it went down like this, and then stalled, and then caught on the washing line that was in the backyard, you know. And then the sun came through it, you know, it went like that and showed the line through it. It's quite nice. But eventually did make it up again, and just flew it down from a top lawn to a bottom lawn, which is about as high as this table, you know. Just to see if it went, you know, and it did. I wore a wig to look like, to try and do it, you know. And I said that, oh, it flies, but I don't. You know, so I do that. And the third thing was to do an anatomical drawing, you know. So I did the Last Supper, and I had to do it as accurately as, but I decided to do it in white of egg gesso. It's paint. It's like a water based paint with egg in it to bind it, and it's still nothing's gone yet. It's after I did it in 1983, right? And it's still on the wall, and it still doesn't distress us at all. You know, it's there, and I've been photographed. We have been, Anna and my wife, and I've been photographed there. You know, with it, and it's quite a respectable thing. In fact, it was supposed to become a beer label. It was so good.
That is respectable, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, no, you know, good beer, no shit.
Good beer.
Yeah.
That's
That was the other one, yeah.
yes, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm okay with that. Because no, Hunter said good people drink good beer for Flying Dog, and I said good beer, no shit. It's good. But he didn't want all the
Alcoholic
the
beverage
alcohol
commission
beverage people.
of Colorado, yeah.
Colorado said
We went through
we
that.
can't put things like that onto foodstuffs or drinks, you know.
Does
And-
anyone in the audience have any curiosities that Ralph could address? This
Well,
directly.
you said you were gonna tell the folks here the origin of the word gunzo.
Ah, that's good. Yeah, that's yeah.
I'll nudge you every now and then.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. Yeah. No, I looked, I'm trying to find it, because it was a man called Bill Cardoza, who coined the phrase gonzo. Said to Hunter, hey man, that's pure gonzo. And he worked with the Boston Globe. And gonzo, pardon me, you know. I don't know what's gonzo, though it's a pretty good word. I don't like that. Yeah, gonzo journalism. Yeah, gonzo journalism. Yeah. So it came like that, and I decided to look it up, you know, to find out what it meant, because people said it's not a real word, you know, and in fact it's a Portuguese word, and it means hinge. Now that's odd, but I guessed that unhinged would come from that too, you know. So, and that would give it its sort of,
So it's ungonzo.
in a way, it could
Yeah.
be, no, you can't ungonzo. Once it's been gonzoed,
You can't do that, okay.
no, it's gone.
I hate that.
Yeah, right?
I hate that.
Sorry, you can't do that. You could try, as a lawyer you could try.
Right.
We get away with all sorts of
We
stuff
get
as
away with
lawyers.
so much shit, yeah, you're
Yeah.
right, you're right.
But I don't, but you mustn't try to understand human nature. Sorry. Legal people do not understand human nature.
You do, though, you do a great job of illustrating it every day.
What, wrongness, you mean?
No, human nature,
Well, wrongness,
you will bet you.
yes.
They do often.
You believe there is in human nature perhaps some rightness?
Rarely,
Very good.
every once in a while.
We aspire to do it, I think.
Yeah.
And we fail a lot.
Well, and I think
like
that's
it that
what-
people
that's
try.
what- Yeah, that's what we do in our lives, you know, we grow up thinking
But I,
it's all gonna work, and
Yes.
then,
but I cannot stand unkindness of a kind that is. It's funny, except in drawings. Because in doing doing it in drawings, it's not violent. You know, I can put violence into the drawing, but it's not violent. It might occasionally be enlightened, and occasionally insulting, you know. But I didn't realise how it can affect you, because I hadn't been drawn by someone before, and then somebody, American cartoonist from Nebraska, actually. I better not say his name, because, you know, but he sent me a drawing of me, and I was so shocked by it, because it was so bad. I meant bad in the wrong way, you know. It wasn't intense or, you know, enlightening in any way. It was so bad I had to tear it up. But I thought, well, out of you know, a kind of respect for my fellow cartoonist. I'll keep on calling that, kept a piece of it. I've still got it that. It's just a little smaller than that actually. It's about that big. So, did I do wrong? I think so. Was that an awful thing for a...
Did you tell him?
No, I didn't. You see
Well,
that?
that's okay.
There's cowardice.
Yeah, that's okay.
Is that okay? Oh, cowardice is good, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Cowardice.
thank God.
Yeah.
All right, good. Because I like that.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Steadman,
Yeah.
you have Fear and Loathing on the campaign trail of 2016. I believe so. Gonzoetic theory or frenzy you had described in a quote before. Gonzoetic frenzy?
Gonzo added frenzy.
Or maybe it's a misquote, but I found it online.
What did I say? Did I say Gonzo?
I believe the quote is, if I might,
Yes.
what's Gonzoetic frenzy? Well, it's me in the throes of an inch-flattering attempt to capture the feeling I have for that particular time.
Well, it could work in that way, but it's not a hinge, is it?
Yeah, how is that though on the road to this 2016? You know, when we look at things in this repressive environment and the things that you've been through on this poetic journey, you know, right now, where does it come to from 1972 when Hunter just wrote the same stuff that we're reliving today?
I think Hunter was just so wonderfully, well, prophetic and insightful in what he did. But of course, a lot of it is as true today as it was when he started. And stop winking, we're a friend.
He's a nice guy. I met him earlier today, so I just
Oh, I see.
Let's go to the next question.
That's okay, you've got some.
Mr. Steadman, I
Oh.
am so thrilled to meet you in
Wow,
person.
thank you very much.
I wanted to know, did you have like nightmares as a child, or when did you start doing
I tell you, I was, well,
weird
a
birds
good
and,
question.
you know, the...
No, I did have, I did have to sit night after night in an Anderson shelter. And my mother, lovely mother, Gwen, her name was Gwendolen, Gwenny. She was very Welsh, you know.
This is the Blitz of World War I.
Yeah, what? Yeah, Blériot, try to.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, you know. Anyway, and there were bombs all over the place, and we lived in a place called Morton, near Wallasey, near Liverpool, you know. And my mother would knit like this, knit one pearl, one knit, to keep calm. My sister was 4 years older than me, and we were making a noise, I guess, you know. I don't know. I don't remember as a baby whether I cried. Maybe I had no compassion, and I don't cry, no. Anyway, that's it. I must try, maybe I'll do a self-portrait as a baby. I'll try that. Good thought. And it was just something that I found every night we were there, you know, the things, the siren would go off and give us, well, I didn't know what was happening. And then in the middle of the night, my father just bundled us into his old Rover. He had an old Rover then, and drove out of he was a commercial traveller. He travelled in ladies' knickers and, you know, ladies' general things, you know. He had a van which he made himself on top, so he could get dresses to hang up, and, you know, full-length dresses. And that was, and he always liked to go around what they used to call, I'll think of the word when I don't think of it, which is that there were old-fashioned, not supermarkets, but the old-fashioned architrave, but they, you know, they were ornamental Victorian places all around the north of England, you know. And he was a commercial traveller, as they call them then, not salesman, you know. And he'd take me with him sometimes, you know. And he had a couple of suppliers of these ladies' clothing. things, and he couldn't. They always liked to see my father for some reason, and the ladies that worked in the shops, you know. In fact, he met my mother in T.J. Hughes in Liverpool, which was she was a shop girl. So and then they met her, and then he was someone who liked to talk, and, you know. And he always had lots of stories. One day in last September, as far as I remember, I was walking down the street with manly pride. My heart was all aflutter when I fell into the gutter and I found a pig lying by my side. I lay there, my heart was all aflutter as I lay there in the gutter, and a lady passing by was heard to say, "You can tell the man who oozes by the company he chooses." And the blooming pig got up and walked away. That was one of my father's, you know. That's it. And he was always, you know, entertaining the ladies in the emporiums, they were called, you know, old emporiums. And he was really, and he was a gentleman. And I think my mother and father brought me up to be, well, I wanted to build model aeroplanes all for my life, you know. That's what I did as a child, and I wanted to carry on building them, but then I wanted to make aeroplanes and got an apprenticeship at de Havilland Aircraft Company in Chester, in England. And I couldn't stand factory life after 9 months. I had to leave.
Imagine that.
After
Him in factory life, I just can't.
well,
It doesn't fit.
I couldn't do it anyway. I had to leave, and my mother was so upset about it. What are you going to do now? And I had a brother, and Ron, a brother-in-law, married to my sister Barbara, and he was a youth employment officer. So he got me a job as a stockroom boy in Woolworths, because that's all you could get. You know, I got a school certificate, you know, from a grammar school. I passed a scholarship and all that sort of thing. But it wasn't to be. I wasn't going to. The under manager didn't like me much.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, I had to sweep the floors, and in fact, the headmaster came past the door one day at Woolworths, and there used to be the time when they used to oil the floors, sweep them first. People had dropped their stuff all over the store, you know. They still do, but not as bad as they used to. And I used to sweep the stuff to the front of the door and then pick it up. And my headmaster passed by and I went, "Look at you, sweeping the streets in Colwyn Bay. You could have been something if you'd stayed at the Havilland. What do? End up as a street hero." He was a real horror. He was a guy who liked to cane boys, you know. That was his Wednesday
And
afternoon.
diddle little girls.
What?
And diddle little girls.
No, he never touched it. No,
The
no.
art, your art teacher did.
Oh yeah. Oh, he was always doing that.
Yeah, right.
How did you know that?
Because I interviewed you 20 years ago.
Oh,
This,
God.
this is a shout out to you, Janet. And when you described our little village, this was your description. Man's insistence on building monuments to himself in breathtaking natural settings has the consequence of obliterating everything he has gone there to see, everything he wanted to be there for him in the first place.
Oh.
So have we done better in the past 20 years?
God, it's worse, isn't it?
Have you seen our art museum?
Yeah.
No
Oh.
offense, I know it's important.
You know, I'm sorry about the art museum. It's a kind of wonderful space.
It is a great space, but it's a
Yeah.
space there in the middle of a historic village.
But I think I nearly got what's that thing you get when the
Yeah.
eyes go funny.
Yeah.
With that thing that's in the middle of the room at the moment. It's dots
Yeah.
everywhere, what do we call it? You know,
Vertigo.
vertigo, that's what, thank you. That's good. No, that's what I got. And,
Handle a question from Rick.
yeah,
You got a question, Rick?
yeah,
Yes, I did.
yeah.
In response to your comment of your last story, the one thing about the rat race is whether you win or lose, you're always a rat. Secondary, I'd like to ask you about your actual style of art. You know, some people would say it's a cross between characterism and surrealism. So how did you actually arrive at your art form itself? And were you influenced by any of your contemporaries, like Andy Warhol? Or,
Not him. No.
Peter Max?
No, George Gross was one of my, was a really big influence. And even Ronald Searle, remember Ronald Searle?
Yes.
I was influenced by him, I liked his work. But mostly the Germans, I think, were the ones that, you know. Yeah, Gustav Klimt, yeah. And a lot I forget now. No, don't forget. I'd probably remember if I talked about it. Wow. But it's just that I wanted to be not just cartoons, but they had to be socially connected somehow. You know, so they had to be comment. And that's why I worked for Private Eye, and I did a series for Private Eye, which was I did a lot. I was influenced by William Hogarth as well, and I liked his style. I did Beer Street and Gin Lane and the Gilray School
Did you
of
ever
Art.
draw any interest from like Thomas Nast or any like early 20th century American characters?
I think it was time when there was the Saturday Evening Post guy who did the front. Danny, what was his name too?
Well, that was
Danny Rothwell.
yeah,
Norman Rothwell, yeah, and but more, but that was more in
more
type.
realism.
I was after something. Yeah, the realism I was doing though was I did I think one Beer Street and I did Gin Lane, and there had prostitutes in it and beer and stumblers and everybody and different types of. I mean the Beer Street. The interesting difference between Beer Street and Gin Lane. Gin Lane was vicious, and there was a mother dropping a baby, and
They were damning. Those were like damning characters.
oh yeah, absolutely. And then there was a Beer Street was a little more sort of homely, palatable, yeah. So and I was so interested in it. I've done a series on. I did a book called Between the Eyes, which has all those drawings in it. And I don't know whether you can get it now, but it's 1989, that was. 1969. God damn, time passed.
I'm sure City Lights has it.
What's that?
Anybody else have any other
Lawrence
questions?
Ferlinghetti might have something in the City Lights bookstore in San Francisco.
They may have it, yeah, they get these books in.
Let's go with Josh.
Josh?
Thank you.
Do you have as much imagination now as you ever had before?
No,
or what have you done to keep it alive?
Well, I also did a book on God, you know, called The Big I Am, you know, so I could sort of strike it about a bit, you know, with this book about God and how he sort of, well, put the world to rights, by the way.
That's true.
In this sort of thing. And that was a book that, because after the Leonardo, I thought, where do you go now? And so it became up, you know. So I did that, and I don't know, it's a very odd thing. Where do you know, like, as though you're the question a gentleman asked me about, you know, do you do things with a purpose or whatever? It's like escaping to get to the next series of things you might do. Like at the moment, a book on critical critters, which is just finished. I haven't quite finished it, but it's nearly done. You know, all the animals that have been, there's only 3 left for certain things, you know. And I'm working at, the writing's been done by a guy called Kerry Levy. And not Kerry S. Levy, like sort of another type of writing partner. But we have laughed at that thing, and which we didn't do with Hunter. We also no laughing. There was no laughing.
Yeah, right.
Oh, Rob. That's about the most I got out of it.
He loved to laugh with you. Christine.
Laugh at me, yes.
I have a question for you.
Oh, yes.
On the recent series that Hunter wrote us and you did your artwork based on what he wrote, would you say there was ever a time when he was influenced by something that you did?
I think lots of time I'd done the drawing before he did the writing. And it did happen that way. And I think he did take something from that.
It was some of his best artwork and some of Hunter's worst journalism.
Was it?
No, sorry. No, he's every bit as fun now as he's ever been. I can attest to that.
Yeah. Funny that. Don't like it when people talk behind my back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, no, I had this idea this morning about the Trump thing. Did I say this? Please tell me about it.
No, you haven't said anything.
No, it was about, the thing I thought this morning, or was a kind of half a dream, was, Mount Everest. That I think if Trump had half a mind to do it, he would have it bulldozed, along with those what do they call them, the little guys?
Orders.
What? Sherpas. I couldn't remember the name of it. Yeah, Sherpas. There's Sherpas, he would probably call them, like Mexicans. And he'd have the whole lot bulldozed, and then rebuilt into a massive monument of Donald Trump. Like in
Redeemer.
Rio,
The Redeemer.
the great Rio or Mexico, the thing, Mexico City. What do you think of that for an idea? I mean, suggested to him, couldn't we?
Don't give him that idea,
No.
just in case he doesn't.
You've got another question from your grandson.
Oh, yes, Toby.
When in your kitchen you told me the football story, after all Sainted, that's the whistle blue, long God sighted, down through the blue, possible fixes, Dick scored goal, second ball goalie throwing over Toby Ferguson.
That's right. Oh, yes, you want to say that.
Well done.
Oh, that's well done. Yeah, thank you, Toby. Yeah, that was after the ball was centred, after the whistle blew, Long got excited, down the field he flew. He passed the ball to Dixie. Dixie scored a goal, sent the poor old goalie flying on his own emoji. That was it. Yeah, right. Toby, bless you. And yes, Toby loves writing poems, and things that rhyme. He loves things that rhyme. We do too. Like, always eat when you are hungry, always drink when you are dry, always sleep when you are tired, and don't stop breathing or you'll die. Yeah, so, and some more questions,
I'd like to congratulate you on your 80th, but I think there was one more question.
oh yes.
I was just
Yeah, hi.
wondering, for Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, did you look at some bats, or did you just draw them from memory?
Did I? Oh, I did sketches, scribbles, and photographs. I had a little Minox camera that I used to carry about with me, and in fact, when I met Hunter at the races in 1970, I didn't want to do the horses and the race and all that sort of thing. I wanted to turn around and do the faces of the Kentuckians going, yeah, well, yeah, You see. So I turned around, somebody shouted down from the audience, turn around, buddy, you're facing the wrong way. That's what happened, yeah. And it was this little Minox camera, because I took that camera also around New York. And I just kept taking, it was film, it was tiny Minox film, that I used it to go around. I wanted to go down Skid Row, see the bombs down there, and I had a waistcoat with, and my pocket full of quarters, so that I could, give us a dime, buddy, this is subsidy to get started, and I got a drawing of them, but I wanted to photograph them coming towards you, because you knew you were going to do it. So it had to be here. So click, done, and then you'd walk down to Chinatown, and then walk all the way back up again afterwards to see at what stages of intoxication, inebriation these people were. And the guy that I remember saying, "Kiss a dime," but he was in a doorway out of it on cheap hooch or whatever. They used to make it for them, but I don't know what they do now, whether there's a control on it or something. I've no idea, but I remember, it interested me to go around New York There was another one in New York, and I did film it. Was this woman saying this poor guy was holding onto a water hydrant in the street, and then you gotta be ashamed of yourself. Why don't you get up and get a job? I said, leave me alone, lady. Leave me alone, leave me alone. You gotta be ashamed. You know what I mean? You're awful. You're awful. You just don't do things like that. Get up and get a job, boy. So I always saw something. And I got this thing on, it's like this, terrible. And so I was thinking, and all those sort of things I recorded. I didn't do the book. I was going to do the book. It was going to be done by Ammo Books. It was called, Portfolio New York Portfolio 1970. Because what's interesting is seeing the pictures now, black and white, and very few cars around. It was quite nice. The streets were quite empty here and there. It was amazing. And some squares completely empty. But it made interesting pictures, and they did a few of them in a show I had for Lucy Paul, For No Good Reason, for the film. Some of those appeared in that movie but they'd done them rather nicely. They'd blown them up as large pictures, because they look kind of interesting. Because if you shoot from here, you don't sort of try to put it into some sort of composition, but just shoot it. You get marvelous things and staggering drunks and all sorts coming towards you, which is kind of fun. But you can't, in a funny sort of way, you don't want to embarrass the drunk by doing this. You just want to give him a quarter and let him go, So that happened too.
One thing I'll also mention is there's going to be a retrospective of Ralph's work at the Society of Illustrators next month in New York. And that's going to be up for a couple months. So all of you out there that if you make it to the Big Apple, it'll be worth seeing. And I want to just thank you guys again for coming here. And I also just want to say, just from a personal note, Ralph's a hero, but getting to know him and his family, he's one of the sincerest, nicest people I've ever met, and his family has done a lot, gone out of their way to make me feel like a part of their family, and I love you guys, and I love you, Jerry, and I love you, Bob, and I love all you guys.
And we'd like to thank you, DJ, for once again showing us what our little village can do and can be. And I'd like to thank Ralph as well for coming and pollinating our little garden. It's really a special reason.
I hadn't finished yet. Have I bought them?
No.
Anyway, thank you very much, all of you.
We also have drinks outside, and Alex Broff is going to be playing some vintage vinyl. And then also, I don't think Ralph's going to be doing any signing of stuff. He signed stuff all night last night, so if you could just, give him some space, that'd be great. So thank you. All right, bye.